torch and dip it into the sexy St. Jeff candle. No Buffs is back. I'm J.E. Skeets here in the Classic Factory along with my fellow tribe members. Two people who will be having a burp-off at the end of the podcast. It's my beautiful wife, Nora Artinian, and super producer, JD.
Absolutely not.
Come on, give me the burps.
Can you burp on demand?
No,
I can't.
I wish I had one chambered, actually.
Oh, jeez.
I can't either. That's why I'm downing a sun-kissed orange right now.
This is not an ad.
This will get the bubbles going. Hopefully I'll burp.
Neither of us, I would say, are gassy people.
No, not really.
Oh, that's good.
Not that end, at least.
Oh.
We're here to recap episode 9 of Survivor 47, titled Nightmare Fuel. Before we do that, huge shout out to everybody joining us in the live tribe right here on YouTube. Take a second, hit the like button, subscribe, share the show. Podcast listeners, 5-star ratings and reviews. The live tribe here in our chat. It's buzzing.
A flurry of activity.
Yeah. A whole lot of comments flying. Good stuff. Let's get into it. Episode 9, like I said, night 15. Sam comes back, you know. His significant other on the island, Sierra, voted out. And Sam thanks the tribe for keeping him. He recognizes, gotta no more. Rachel and Sam talk about how they need to maybe work together, topple the dynamic going on. Sam seems a little embarrassed that Andy got him, if I'm being honest.
Wouldn't you be?
Doesn't even want to look at him.
He's
he
pissed.
says he's a little pissed.
Yeah.
Rachel confirms to us that she played the shot in the dark to sort of gauge the tribe's reactions to that. Remember, we were talking that out. What was the thinking behind that? She confirmed it. Now, I still think it's going to work out even better for her.
In what sense?
Because I said that in her playing her shot in the dark, to me, if I was also out there, I would be like, no way she has an idol.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I would never in a million years think she has it.
Nothing.
Why would she play her shot in the dark?
Yeah, I mean, that's
if
highly
she's
possible.
like worried, doesn't know where the vote's going to go, is maybe a possibility to be voted out. If she had an idol, she'd play it, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's still going to play out. The rest of the tribe thanks Andy for voting with them. So Andy gets his flowers for flipping.
God.
Oh boy, Nora's rolling her eyes at that. And then Andy does explain to Sam why he flipped. You know, he felt like an outsider, an expendable piece. And again, that's something we had talked about. They didn't do a great job at that. I'm talking about Sam and Sierra, sort of keeping Andy close. And then Andy tells Sam, hey, I did spend some social capital on keeping you over Sierra, just so you know, bro. Just so you know. So that's the opening scene here on night 15.
Yeah, a lot.
When we return.
A lot of moving parts. But the things that stood out to me, I thought Sam handled himself fairly well, given that he was upset. He wasn't super reactive. He explained how he felt and then kind of moved on, was willing to listen to people. The thing that connected with me with this whole sequence was Rachel's exposition, where she just basically got to talk about her strategy, what she did with the shot in the dark. They gave her all this time to explain what she did. It was just a lot of time doing that. It was giving, to me, heavy winner's edit.
Okay.
For Rachel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you agree or disagree, JD?
Well, the whole thing with we've never seen this before on Survivor, as far as I know. Like, and there are
you guys are jumping ahead a little bit here to the Andy and Rachel backstory.
Yeah,
that was very elaborate.
Of course. So, well, it immediately follows this sequence. Yes. We'll get there. But even so, Rachel got to sit and just kind of talk about what her strategy was, what she did, why she did it, and how it worked perfectly.
Yeah, and in the era of shot in the dark die, like, no one has really used it in that way.
No.
And I know Probst has talked about this. Maybe he did on his pod. I know he has in interviews, like, this idea, like, wow, we always want to see what they'll do with this. Right. Like, this shot in the dark thing. That's unique.
A very creative way to use it.
That's a creative way to use it.
I don't think I would have ever thought to use it that way. So. Who knows? Maybe you operate on a different frequency once you're on the island and under pressure. Andy is doing his Andy thing where he thinks he's a lot smarter and more strategic than he actually is. He continues to fail upward, which is what he does. Yeah. Sorry, Andy, I like you, but you are not as cool as you think you are at this.
Right.
You're not as savvy as you think you are.
Yeah, what's the edit doing with Andy is my big question. Is they just setting him up for complete failure or 0 votes at the end?
Yeah,
or
maybe.
Like what?
I don't know.
Or is he our actual winner?
No.
You don't think so at all?
I will have a burp off on camera if Andy wins.
Wow.
We're holding that to you.
Okay.
And I can't do it. I can't do it, so it won't happen.
Okay, well, And I guess you don't think Andy's going to win anyway?
I don't think he can.
Okay. Well,
who's going to give Andy a vote?
Yeah, no, I know. It's unlikely, but he's getting a very strong, kind edit for sure. Like the idea of like
I don't know if I would say
he had the meltdown like on day 3.
It's crazy that he's still there.
So he's bounced back.
Yes.
Now he's turned into the flipping. Well, then we get a lot of like he can see the path. There's a lot of that. He starts the flipping game. He's being on the right side, so he's got that going for him.
Right.
Over the last couple. So,
but
I'm with you. I don't think he's going to
win. We'll get to it in the next sequence, but he describes himself, I believe, as a certified flipper or something like that.
Sure.
And that to me is not the flex he thinks it is. To me, that shows that you don't have any allegiances and that you respond to what's happening around you by just aligning with whoever's there.
Yes.
Which we've said before about him.
Yeah. Well, let's go to that day 16.
Yeah.
It's the morning after the, obviously, tribal council. Andy apologizes to Rachel about flipping, and they talk about, man, we should really just work together. And this, JD, is where we get that weird, long, extended flashback edit.
Director's cut.
Of Andy and Rachel's highlights and lowlights is the best way to put it. The edit includes the Annika blindside, which was a shock to Rachel, and the idea, can she trust Andy?
Right.
But really long, and it makes you wonder, like, is this scene going to bear fruit down the line?
Yeah.
And why
what
give it
this?
So much time and attention?
Right. Yeah.
Unless it's setting up some huge thing between Andy and Rachel, right?
Well, it might be also just explaining how difficult it would be for Rachel to work with Andy. Right from the day one, they showed all that awkwardness of how he got her up in the middle of the night. Let's do yoga. And also, side note, when seeing them walk down the beach on day one, so pale and I hate to say it, flabby almost.
Andy looks so different.
Like it's just like, wow, like the transformation in not a lot of time.
2 weeks.
But 2 weeks.
2 weeks and change.
Yeah.
And it comes up later in the episode where, people like for example, Sue having it out for Kyle, and then Genevieve's inexplicably going after Saul for some reason. Like, I chalk that up to hunger, right? Like, anyways, all this to say, very weird. Sometimes, like, I wish that this was a thing for other times in Survivor where, it would be nice to go back and see all the steps that led up to this moment, But it's very odd that they decided to do it this time.
Yeah, because there's no real moment.
Right, exactly.
Not in this episode, not in this scene.
Yeah.
So setting it up for down the road, fair enough, but what does it mean? And god damn, if it's an Andy winner, I don't know if I can recover from that.
Okay.
I don't know either. I do think my gut says it's more of these two are actually going to either attempt to vote together and push the dynamics of the remaining people there into certain votes, or Rachel does what Sam did to Andy, which basically just bring him along, make him think that he's relevant, and dispose of him at some point.
Or maybe do it better than Sam did.
Yes.
Yeah. Rachel asks Andy if there's anyone he's really, wary of. And he says challenge beast Kyle. Yeah. An obvious name to throw out there. Rachel says that Sue and Caroline, they don't like Kyle. But the problem is this guy just won't lose.
Right.
This is before, obviously, last night's episode's challenge. So, we got something going on here with Rachel and Andy. We'll see if it pays off. Later on day 16, Teeny apologizes to Sam about the Sierra blindside. She explains, look, it was this power couple concern. It was a big reason why that we had to split you up, and I'm happy you're still here, and Sierra had to go and all that. Sam, though, has a vendetta with Lavo. He does try to smooth things over with Genevieve.
Yeah, he's fine.
With Teeny, with Saul. Like, he really seems to convince Saul. Saul in a lot of his confessionals are like, damn, he didn't take that as hard as maybe I thought he would.
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, he's a good player. He's bouncing back well. So then the conversation pivots to Gabe being a strong strategic player.
Yeah.
And Saul and Teeny are really sort of pushing, maybe we vote Gabe. Like, they're really leaning into that. And then we get to Tree Mill. Anything here, again, a lot more apologizing to Sam and then maybe new plans forming.
Yeah. The thing that stood out to me in this sequence was in the moment where Sam is having that sort of tete-a-tete with Soul and with Teeny, Genevieve just sort of appears, does not say a word, and just watches it all go down and takes notes.
Yes.
And if I'm one of those other three people, that to me is red flag. Like, well, what's going on? Who is she going to go talk to? She's always kind of like appearing and then disappearing and gathering her information. And I know we have the benefit of watching this show and knowing that she's as strategic as she is.
Yeah, because Genevieve has been with Teeny and Saul the entire time, too. Not that they've always been on board together in Lavo, but day one, when they were all flabby and pale, they were all together.
But nobody is turning to her because, they talk about the Gabe thing and no one's like, who do you want to vote out?
At least in the edit, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. Tremel asks the tribes to split into 5 pairs before they head to the challenge. Rachel pairs with Caroline.
Immediately.
Sam pairs with Andy. Kyle pairs with Gabe, who seems pumped by the idea. They're both sort of pumped by the idea of being together for differing reasons. And then the other 2 pairs, when we get to the actual challenge mat, Teeny and Saul, and Genevieve and Sue, who is wearing Rome's lightning shirt. And
probably so they match, right? Genevieve and her partner was Genevieve, who was wearing red. They all kind of ended up matching. They all did kind of match.
Actually,
so you think producers encourage them, like, hey, look as close as possible color-wise to
throw
each other.
This on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I had
maybe.
Well, Rome's in the news a lot right now in the Survivor world. I'll leave it at that.
We're not even going to explain it?
Yeah.
Well, okay. You want to right now?
We can just do like a very general thing.
Okay. Why is Rome making news right now?
Rome, while he was giving a bunch of exit press after he left Survivor, in some of those interviews was asked to do some word associations with the players where he listed all the current people playing. But the order in which he did so seems to be mimicking the voting out order of what's been happening on the show. The boot order. So if you want to avoid spoilers, don't look up Rome Survivor spoiled. Because
so what, for right now, he's done it like 3 or 4 correctly, or where are we at? Whatever it is.
Basically what he did was Sierra and back. He did basically in order that they left.
So pre-merge boots.
Yes.
Okay.
And then post, the first one he did say in his thing was Saul. So yesterday when we were talking pre-show, I said there's murmurings that it's Saul tonight, but I can't imagine
Dear
it.
Lord.
So
it's a little early.
Rome, what have you done though? Oh no.
Listen, if next week's adheres to what he did, then he's in big trouble.
Oh boy. Yeah, boy.
But the internets are abuzz about what he's done.
Yeah. Okay.
If this is true, and I'm sure it could be, I'm surprised it hasn't happened before. Like they all do press right after they get voted out, and just like I've never really heard of a spoiler. They're all pretty careful.
Yeah.
But if he was just picturing them as they're walking into Ponderosa, right, just to keep them in order.
Yeah, if you're doing any sort of thing, be it word association or whatever, talking about every player out there, and you were just like going through it in your head.
I think he had a list. He was doing it really quick.
Okay. Oh yeah. I won't be looking this up.
I mean, either.
I'm avoiding this like the plague. I didn't even want to talk about it.
I've already been exposed.
Oh God!
So
why would you do that?
I didn't mean to. I'm a researcher.
So what? You're just gonna pray that this is wrong and that Rome is like this is not true at all.
What do you want me to do? I'm out there.
Don't look at it.
I'm in deep in the trenches of the internet trying to learn and understand Survivor. I don't remember the exact order. I remember what happened last night, and I remember the next one. So when we see you start skyrocketing up the Make Your Picks No Buffs Fantasy Survivor pool, we're gonna have a lot of questions. You're not winning a T-shirt if you land for the record. I'm ranked, I think I'm like 1,000 something right now.
All right, that's the Rome controversy.
So you're not that deep.
Exactly.
So let's go to the challenge. This thing was run in 3 stages. First stage, you advanced the first 3 pairs to get their puzzle pieces. You had to get one from underneath what was that? A low obstacle course thing.
Yeah. I was going to say the cage.
It was a cage. Yeah. I was going to say cargo net, but it wasn't that. Yeah, it was more of a cage. You had to get it from there, and then you had to dig one out of obviously just a sand pile that seemed like the pieces were very deep. Second stage would advance the first 2 pairs to build that staircase and then cross a beam, and then the final stage turned into individual immunity, where you had to balance yourself on those little narrow footholds. Man, a lot of feet shots last night.
I did not care for it.
Oh yeah, Probst was loving this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this was pretty fun. There's also the addition that they were playing for reward. Final Four would get an afternoon picnic, BLTs, chips, drinks.
Solid. It's fine.
Solid. Probst didn't even sell it that hard, did he?
No, he was too excited about the vote loss.
Yes, and then the twist is first two pairs that are out lose their vote with a chance to win it back on the journey. So just some quick notes, I guess, from the actual challenge here. We had Andy and Sam ripping their bag.
Yeah.
Does anyone ever remember that happening while they're trying to dig it out of the sand? They almost like... They sort of wanted Probst to be like, "Whoa, all right, stop. My God." He's like, "So what? Keep digging.
Go get it."
Yeah.
That's on you.
I know.
Yeah, is that what he said?
I think so.
That's on you.
Feeling sassy.
Kyle, Gabe, they advance, then Solentini, and then Sue and Genevieve. Maybe as a bit of a surprise to be that third group to get past the first stage. So the other four are out, and they would be heading to the journey where they would play what people are calling reverse Jenga.
I understand what they mean, but it's not.
But it's not.
Yeah, it's like House of Cards / reverse Jenga.
It is reverse Jenga because you're building it, and Jenga, you're taking it apart. Right?
I am also building it when I play Jenga.
Oh, yeah, because you put it on top.
Yeah.
Reverse.
You're right.
Yeah,
Reverse
that's the
Jenga.
weird part. The only Jenga part is
It falls.
don't knock it over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Close enough.
Second stage, we have Sue and Genevieve crushing the staircase. They loved how they were working on that one.
The nomenclature.
Jumbo.
Mini.
So true.
2 jumbos, mini in the middle, or whatever they were saying.
And if you do it correctly,
They figured it
you
out.
have one person doing the stair part, and the other, hey, like getting the okay, these ones have jumbos in them. Let's put them there so we can do a quick, like whenever you call, I can go to the right pile. They were
Pattern recognition and communication.
killing it. They were killing it.
They were great.
Problem was they had a beam still. Yeah. And Sue took it slow. She took it very, very slow. She did get across. She made a hell of a dive,
She
actually.
leapt at the end there. I was a little worried
Yeah.
for her 45-year-old bones
Yes.
when she landed. I was like, we're not trying to break a hip, Sue.
Wow.
I know you're strong, but she took a tumble.
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah,
You're
she
100% right.
I thought she was going to go all the way down.
Oh, my God. Like, oh, wow.
Like, all the way.
Across the beam and then down the slide.
Yeah, I was like, oh, she's gone.
Oh. Well, Kyle and Gabe were trailing in the staircase part, but they come back. Saul fell. That was a big part of it. And, like, the beam...
Oh, you're so sure of yourself when we're watching
Nora,
this at home. You've got to go
don't
fast.
go slow.
You've got to go fast. You can't go slow.
All you do, just
you don't know
walk.
what it's like. They're
Just
scared.
walk.
They're fragile.
I
They
know.
haven't eaten. They're shaking.
But a little momentum. That's it. Just you just keep stepping. I guess people maybe just can't step directly in front of themselves.
They're shaky.
You don't know what it's like to be 45, man.
That's true.
Not yet.
I'm 44, yeah. I will next year. Suddenly I can't walk across a beam.
I'd be
Kill me.
very unsteady, I'm sure.
I
They're
guess that's the thing. Some people are...
adrenaline.
Sure.
I think the shoes were a mistake.
She had like
They were like hiking boots.
Yeah,
with, like,
what were they?
Really she may have been wearing stilettos, you know?
I don't know if I'd go that far, but they were like
but you know what I
pioneer
mean.
boots or something.
They seem
Wow, that'd be a
high.
great addition to a challenge. You got to put on high heels.
Yeah.
Like everybody.
Yeah.
And then get across the beam. Well, Probst loved it. I mean, again, we had Kyle and Gabe advancing to the final, and then Teeny and Saul advancing to the final. So that took Genevieve and Sue out.
Right.
Probst called this an instant classic.
Love it.
I you know what? I agree.
Wow.
That stage of it with the balance beam and all that,
Yep.
like I thought it was great.
It
I
was
was on
competitive.
the edge of my seat, and
Okay.
with the stakes of them of losing the vote and the
But the
prize.
stakes weren't as high at the second
God.
part.
Look,
Because
you're
Sue
right.
and Genevieve just got to go back to camp.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. That's true.
Right.
But still, it was exciting to watch, and I love the balance beam. I love the net thing. We've never seen that before.
I look brutal.
Like
When
if you
they
fall
fell
and you actually land
that,
on like a
that.
stunt net.
I
Yeah.
And
it's been a long
looked
time.
very hard to get out of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you tumble, then you got to get over to the ladder.
Yeah.
It was close. It was very close. That
Yeah.
was entertaining. Then lots of hugging, congratulating after, which Probst mentioned at the time. Then he mentioned at Tribal Council.
Yeah.
The camaraderie here between everyone.
He's like the Grinch. His heart grew.
Yes.
seeing them.
Final stage, the individual immunity part. I like this. It looks badass. I like that they can't see each other.
Yeah.
I love that part of it. But it's Saul versus Kyle versus Teeny versus Gabe. And again, they're standing on these little tiny footholds, and like you can sort of your
Push
arms
against
can
it.
push against the wall a little bit, but it's really your feet. Everyone makes the first transition. Probe says there's nothing about this challenge that is comfortable. And it sure looks that way because the footholds are like they're rounded.
Yeah.
At least as they went down, and we got those close-ups of everyone's gnarly feet.
Yeah.
They're like, oh god. Like, that makes it even worse.
Yeah, I hate to ask, but
ugh.
do you think they clip their toenails while they're there?
No way.
So you think they're just like letting it?
I don't think so.
You don't think they get like any hygiene?
Well, hold on. How often do you clip your toenails?
You can last 3 weeks like clipping your
guess.
toenails. Yeah.
I don't know.
There's no way they do.
I would probably go with a pedicure, so they'd be already sharp.
Oh,
cut.
I'm going in with full pedicure.
You have to, right?
You have to.
So we get a slow-mo supercut of Teeny fighting through the pain.
Poor Teeny.
And I guess Gabe tells Probes, don't talk to me. I like that part. Don't
Politely.
talk. Yeah, politely, but just shut up, man.
Yeah, he's so annoying. I'm struggling up here, and he's just like describing my struggle.
Yeah.
I was surprised that Jeff just took that.
He's like, I'm sorry.
Well, he said,
Pardon me,
I listened to
Gabe.
him on the On Fire podcast today, and
Yeah.
he said he's totally fine because he said, I would do the same thing because I'd be in my head focused on trying to
Yeah.
achieve this. I don't want you coming in and distracting me.
It'd be in some of these
Yeah.
endurance sort of challenges, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, man.
Get out
just
of here.
don't talk to me.
That's part of the challenge. It's his
think?
job. He's the host of the show. He's narrating what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there,
You do not get to tell Jeff, "Don't talk
he
to me."
crosses the line sometimes, I would say, between narrating and like
Getting under your
basically
skin.
like, Gabe, man, that must hurt, eh?
Yeah. Are you struggling,
Yeah,
Gabe?
it's like, okay, you don't.
What's the hardest part of this now?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So again, they're all four there, and then Teeny and Saul drop.
Yeah.
At almost the exact same time. It was like bang bang. Final transition. It's between Kyle and Gabe. Again, it looks nuts. It like how wide is that final foothold?
A few millimeters. It doesn't look very
Yeah.
wide.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a centimeter might be too
Yeah.
much. I don't know. It's very very
Sorry
small.
to the non-metric people.
Yeah.
At centimeter. Centimeter?
I mean,
That's small.
Centimeter is very small.
Yeah.
Like it's more than millimeters.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looked like they were barely on an edge.
I know. I think okay.
Wider
it's
than
not.
a-
It's not an inch. There's no way. It's not even. I don't think it's half an inch.
Yeah. Quarter of an inch.
Quarter of an inch.
Fucking fractions. Let's go back to the metric system.
Kyle starts to shake. Kyle drops. Gabe wins.
Oh.
That's what happens when you don't talk to me, Probst. I can focus. So Gabe comes over. He gets the necklace put on him, and then he asks Jeff if he can do a little dance for the people at home.
Cringe.
And he gives us the Ray Lewis celebration.
I wish he hadn't.
And he's like, I'm watching it, and I'm going, because he doesn't say the Ray Lewis celebration. I'm like,
No.
He does it. I'm like, I go to you right away. I was like, is Gabe from Baltimore?
Yes.
Because I thought he was doing the Ray Lewis dance, and he was doing a weird version of it. And he is.
He dropped the bat. That's what happened, maybe.
What do you mean?
You think the
bat fell
the
off?
necklace fell. I
That
mean,
was the
it
least
definitely
of it.
was like.
It was not cool.
There was almost a split second where it was like, should I keep going?
Yeah.
When it dropped.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like,
The whole
I would
thing
have
was
said,
weird.
hey, let's just take this from the top.
Yeah.
Jeff, take this
Do it
back.
over?
Let me walk back, and I'll walk over. Let's give it another
Let's
go.
give it another shot.
Yeah.
It was not cool. Perhaps if you were from Baltimore, it felt cool.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the thing. We're not the right audience for it. I feel like he didn't maybe execute it as coolly as he could have.
Okay, here's the first part that why it wasn't cool.
Okay.
You don't have to ask Jeff Probst if
Can I
I can do a
dance?
little dance.
Can I do a little dance?
that part's the cringe part to me. Not the actual dancing and the celebration and the move and even the necklace dropping, whatever. It's he's been thinking about it for 16 days
Right.
or months prior before he
Yeah.
was even out there on the island. And if I win it, I'm doing this. But I guess I got to ask for the
Shouldn't
teacher's
he have
permission.
done it as soon as he won?
That's what I'm saying. Well, yeah, it
He
would have been a lot
waited.
cooler.
Yeah.
Well, he couldn't feel his feet.
True.
Right when he won.
Yeah.
That's true. You got to walk it off a little bit.
I don't know. The whole thing felt weird. And the moment
just weird, yeah.
afterwards, they cut to Sam's face, and I was like, "Same, bro, same."
Yeah.
We were both like, "What's he doing?"
So Gabe wins though. Good for him. And Kyle finally loses one of these.
Yeah.
He is vulnerable. So Andy, Rachel, Caroline, and Sam, they're going to head out on the journey. They're going to have a chance to win their vote back. And as we go to commercial, Kyle tells us that he feels like a sitting duck.
Yeah.
Because he does not have that bat around his neck.
That ugly bat.
Yeah, that's right. When we come back, we have like 3 different groups to track here.
Yeah.
This was the one weird part, right? We got the picnic crew, we got the shelter crew, which is Sue and Genevieve, and we got the journey crew. I guess we'll start with the picnic crew. It's Gabe having his first proper meal in like 16 days, and he is moaning and groaning as he's taking down this BLT.
Yeah, big weirdo episode for Gabe.
Because then it spins into the burp off.
The burp off.
Or like, not even a burp off, because even Gabe's like, holy crap, Saul can burp.
Is this why we need 90-minute episodes? So we have a full burping segment in the show?
There's a lot of burps.
It's fair.
It was
a fair
way
criticism.
too much.
And there's that one, Saul is just chugging like a Coke or a Diet Coke or some sort of
soda.
soft drink. Yeah. And then no wonder, man. Just burping. Like
Well,
loud
he
burps.
said he tends to do this when he's around his friends and family where he feels comfortable. So maybe he's just like a burpy dude.
Yeah, burp alliance.
It's foreshadowing, man. This is what happens. You get too comfortable on Survivor, you get voted out.
That's right.
Yeah.
He should have been holding in those burps.
Yeah. Poor Teeny. She was stuck in between them.
I know.
Yeah.
And no booze for her to get bombed off.
No, just to listen to all these bros.
Burp it up.
Burping it.
The BLT crew talks about voting out Sam, but they wonder if Sue and Genevieve will be on board. And in a Kyle confessional, he does say, quote, I don't really see Genevieve as a super social thinker in this game.
What a red flag.
Yeah,
Yikes,
yeah.
Kyle.
Yeah.
Not a surprise that
No, I was going to say, does this say more about Kyle? Or does it say more
that's what
about
I
how
mean.
Genevieve is playing?
Well, I
Or
think
it's probably
both.
Yes.
I don't know if Kyle is, we haven't seen it, but he doesn't necessarily go out of his way to connect with people, it doesn't seem. He's friendly, but
yeah.
I don't think he's making any kind of strategic moves other than those with Gabe and Sue and Caroline.
Right.
Yeah. The funny part about this was then we cut immediately to Genevieve telling Sue that, hey, you know Saul wants to get Gabe out, and she's doing this on purpose because Genevieve has a plan to target Saul.
Yeah.
She wants to get revenge, Genevieve does, on Saul
Suddenly.
for Rome.
News to me.
And she admits she's being petty.
Genevieve, what are you doing?
Yeah, this was the real perplexing part.
A real rough one for my girl.
You think so?
I still love her, but...
Well, this, I don't, as I said before, it's inexplicable to me. Why would you get rid of your tribe? You're in the minority already, and why would you flip on Saul, who's, I don't know, he's not in danger of winning the game, I don't think, at this point. You know, there's way bigger threats. She even says herself, like, you know, you got Sue, you got Caroline, you got Gabe. She knows about this alliance.
Yeah.
She knows that Gabe, she even says, Gabe has the numbers. I got to run this by Gabe. Like Sue saying, oh, I'm not going to make any decisions. I like the idea, but we got to run it through the boss man, Gabe.
Right.
Well, that's a red flag. Like, why would you go after Saul still? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I agree. I think Genevieve's entire plan here, I don't know if it's going to work, but it seems to be the idea of, like, I am not worrying about the threats in this game at all.
Yeah.
I don't really care about this Tuku alliance. I'm not concerned about it. If anything, they'll start to turn on each other, and then I'll be a swing vote. Her plan seems to be almost go after people that are, like, on her level in this game.
right.
The Sauls, the Sierras, you know, other votes that she's done, like,
There can only
that's
be
what it
one.
seems like.
Yeah, I agree. I was baffled by this whole thing.
Yeah.
We have not seen her mention Rome since basically he's left, or certainly how she felt about it.
No, I remember, in fact, we commented here on No Buffs of,
She's fine.
like how quickly she seemed to, like,
Apparently not.
move on
back,
with it.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Perhaps it's been brewing. I don't know.
Yeah.
well, also, Rome was kind of a pain in the ass to everybody. And it was like, it's starting to make me look bad if I'm with this guy. But also, yeah, it just seemed out of character. And maybe it's just like, Saul's getting on my tits now, and I just want to get rid of him. You know what I mean?
but
I don't think it's that.
No,
like, he's
I don't.
annoying me. I think it's like, I've been with this guy for 16 days. We obviously have no real bond.
Right.
He doesn't seem to trust me. I don't seem to trust him. Like, at this point, we would have something. We don't.
Yeah.
And again, he to me, or she, I think, is thinking, that's going to be my seat. These people, all these people that are going to be the people that would be my position. That's what I think is happening. But
I was shocked.
Weird. I was still perplexed.
Kyle was seemingly okay. I mean, there were some moments.
Yeah.
I mean, next week we'll see. But I thought, he didn't win immunity. He's toast.
Nah. Were you here last week? I can't remember if you were on the podcast.
Ouch. Yes.
You were. Okay. Well, I can't keep track of who's here and who's not anymore.
Dare you?
Myself included. I was like, Kyle's going to lose and he's not going to go anywhere.
Oh, we all agreed.
Yeah, because no one cares.
I know it's not as
No one cares.
much of a thing, but I think it's different when you're there. And like it's us saying that is one thing. When you're on the island with them, and this guy has been walking around with that stupid bat necklace every day, and then he doesn't have it, you're like, we got to get that guy out of here.
No, because if I'm a super strategic player like Genevieve or like Rachel or Gabe, whoever, it's like, it's almost beneficial. Like, he's going to win it 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Then we're going to know who has it. And then we can start cooking the books and getting our votes in line. And guess what? If he makes it all the way to the end, they're not going to care. They won't care at all.
The only ones who want to get rid of a challenge beast is a fellow challenge beast, right? Because that's your guaranteed ticket into the final 3,
yes.
right?
Okay, yes.
So,
but right now,
but
yeah. But yeah, still strange. The whole like redemption for Rome part of this is the strange part to me.
Yeah,
from
which is maybe just how she wanted to pitch it. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The reasoning behind it.
Maybe she thought it sounded better to be like, I'm being petty and I'm getting vengeance.
Yeah, it's either Rome revenge or it's this guy burps a lot.
Right.
So which one is it?
Sir burps a lot.
Yeah. After the commercial, the BLT crew comes back to Sue and Caroline, and Saul immediately throws out Sam's name. Sort of caught a few of them by surprise how quickly Saul was going into gameplay. Genevieve then goes to Gabe, and she pitches the Saul blindside. And she uses wisely that teeny Saul, should we target Gabe conversation, sort of to her advantage when talking to Gabe. She pitches Saul just being this subtle threat. I think, again, that's her thinking. It's like, I mean, she's the subtle threat.
I know.
But she's like, what about him? He's a subtle threat. No one talking about Saul, she even says. He's good with everyone. And Genevieve and Gabe then take the Saul vote to Kyle.
Right.
He seems pretty pumped.
He's
because
down
he's a
for
little
whatever.
shocked that maybe they're not targeting him.
Yeah.
He says he'll do whatever they say. Okay,
Yeah.
check. And then the one thing Genevieve is struggling with here as we go to another commercial break is like, damn, I don't even know how many votes we're going to have to play with here because we don't know what votes are coming back from these Journey people. That was the fun twist about the Journey and them stacking metal cards.
Yeah.
It added a little wrinkle at least.
I liked where they did it.
Yeah.
Spectacular location.
Yeah, really
Yeah,
cool.
how would you describe that? It
Like
was
a cliff, like a beachy cliff area. They were sort of, it seemed like
cove?
as they were finishing that challenge, the wind really picked up. So they had to find a place that they had a spot that was not going to be impacted.
Interesting. So that was accidental? Like
No,
just,
it was intentional that they chose that location, but the wind impacted their choice.
Oh, right. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Maybe
They
that's
had-
why they went with metal cards instead of wooden cards as well.
I don't know. Yeah,
Give
we
it a
don't
little
know
more
what they
weight.
were. They
They
did
are
seem
metal.
to have.
They're metal.
Yeah, okay.
I thought they were magnetic at one point
They had a weight to them,
because I thought they were like clinking together,
Yeah.
but they weren't. They're just metal.
like tin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but they chose that place because it was hidden. There was a break where you could be hidden
makes
from the
sense.
wind.
Did look cool.
Gotcha.
Looked
That
cool.
looked amazing.
Well, let's go to that Journey. So the sign says they're going to compete against each other. 3 get their vote back. Loser, no vote. And they have to collectively stack these metal cards, like, reverse Jenga, some
Yeah.
call it.
Not the coolest, but they got it done.
Yeah, at least we didn't take too long. with
Yeah,
it.
it wasn't drawn out.
I guess Rachel pulled off an epic move.
It was hard to see.
They were all like, whoa!
But also Caroline seems to just react to everything.
Yeah.
So she's like, whoa!
It was just
like,
funny to me. I was like, okay, I guess that did look tough
did
to
look
place it on
tricky.
there.
It did look askew, like it,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it was sitting, I suppose. Hard to shoot that one. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
They were boxed in and
that, like, as spectacular as the location was, they had that awesome jib shot, underneath the cavern or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to get in tight to see these quote unquote epic moves. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
just
didn't read that well.
I guess the only other question I had is like, how many metal cards were there? How high could this thing have gone?
there is
And I
no
guess the
number.
answer, like,
Infinity?
well, would have been a built-in advantage to be the tallest person.
Yeah.
Or with the highest reach.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sam
for
would
sure.
have had. He's the
At a
tallest,
certain
right?
point.
Well, I'm sure they tested this out and figured out
it probably
how
always
high can we
topples at
get
some-
it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And it looked like as well that like Caroline, I feel a few times was placing them in a bit of an awkward way.
Yeah, because you're trying to force the other people to
topple.
To make more difficult placements. Yes, they did start to it started like they built a little bit of a base and then
it got weird.
Maybe we should start getting a little more craftier with this. Yeah. Anyway, Caroline eventually topples this thing. She loses her vote. She didn't seem all that heartbroken by it.
It is what it
She's
is.
having
Dare I say she was having fun and excited about it. Before they head back to the beach, they talk about maybe Kyle as being the vote. So plotting and scheming here gets a little crazy. Okay, because man, it seemed to be crazy.
A lot of moving
with all of the plans and the parts, and it was getting dark, and then it really just, I don't know, seemed to like fold itself into tribal council where maybe things were still being discussed and planned. Anyway, on the beach we have Gabe, a little bummed that Caroline doesn't have her vote because
we need it.
She was a part of that whole plan, which was for Gabe, Kyle, Genevieve, and Sue to vote out Saul. If Caroline comes back with her vote, that's the fifth. Boom, done. But she doesn't have it, so they need a fifth. So they're like, sort of like, well, okay, who do we go get? And the other part of it is, who don't we tell? That was fun. Genevieve lies to Teeny about targeting Sam or Kyle. So she doesn't bring Teeny in on the Saul idea.
She's happy to burn that bridge.
Yep. Genevieve tells Andy the real plan. He says he was also thinking about Saul.
That's what he always says.
But hey, maybe not tonight. Maybe not tonight.
Yeah.
And at some point he says, check back in.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes me laugh.
Genevieve then tells Rachel the real plan, the hey, we're targeting Saul plan, and decides to let Rachel determine whether she's going to fold Sam in on the plan or not. I like that. I like to see where her loyalty lies, see how tight she is with Sam. Will she keep it a secret? Well, Rachel tells Sam. Sort of.
That was weird.
That was weird. That was weird how Rachel went about it. I can't tell you. It'll get me in trouble.
Yeah. But I will say,
Yeah. But if you say some things out loud, we can get there.
Yeah. And also Saul is right behind us.
Yeah, right. So Sam sniffs it out. He calls it 100%. Look, I know. I'm assuming you're working with Tuku. Saul is the target. And she's like, and then Sam immediately takes this to Saul. He wants to create a little chaos.
Yeah.
I guess that part was a little shocking to me, that Sam decided... I think Sam was just... He was pissed that obviously he wasn't involved in any of this.
Yeah, I think that's an element there.
That's a part of it.
Also...
So, screw you guys. Yeah, I'm going to tell the guy you're targeting and see what happens.
Perhaps he did see a potential future working with Saul as well, and then he's like, I've already lost Sierra. I don't want to lose another potential ally. I'm not involved in this, which shows that I'm on the outs with everybody.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm not even sure what the origin of this choice was, because he's like, okay, they're just going after Lavo people, so it's Saul. He didn't exactly have a fully fleshed out plan other than we're going to target Sue.
Well, he also recognized that she's the most insulated player in the game, which is 100% true.
100% true.
He doesn't know about her idol.
No.
But still, it was a smart play in that sense of who he wanted to go after instead.
That's right. So Sam takes this, hey, Saul, man, they're targeting you. I just found out. And it's getting late in a hurry here.
Yeah,
we do not have a lot of time, it appears, before they head to tribal council. But the plan, Sam tells Saul, is it's you, me, it's Andy, it's Teeny, and it's Genevieve. We're going to vote out Sue. The big problem with this is that Sam has no idea that it's Genevieve's goddamn plan
the
to vote out Saul.
She's being included in the plan that she's being included in a plan trying to cancel her own plan is kind of insane and speaks to how well she is playing this game.
Oh my God. Yeah, I said she was having a rough game. I was only really talking about going after Saul so early in the episode and the balance beam part.
Yeah.
The rest of it was fine, and it worked out well for her in the end, obviously. But yeah, her just standing there and then Teeny, like, where are they getting the numbers? Like, you're looking right at the number.
It's right there in front of you. That was great. So as the sun is setting, Saul tells Teeny, hey, vote Sue. All right. And then Sam tells Andy the big move. It's voting Sue. He seems a little conflicted. I wasn't sure where Andy sort of was falling on this one at that point. And then the big one. Teeny tells Genevieve that Saul is being targeted, to her, at Genevieve at least, and vote Sue. And just when you think, okay, well, this is interesting. Is it going to be Saul or is it going to be Sue? Right before we go to the final commercial break, right as it is getting real dark, suddenly it's like, should we not vote out Kyle?
Well, Teeny was like, well, Kyle was the original person. Wouldn't we just go back to that? I'm like, why are you doing this at the 11th hour?
Oh, man.
You have a plan.
This was a crazy day for these
Oh my God.
castaways.
A lot happened.
This was all one day.
A lot happened.
I mean, unless you count the night before, night 15, when they come back from tribal council. This was a busy day 16, is my point. So to tribal council we go, where again nothing's really settled. At one point Kyle is rambling on about being proud of Gabe for winning the necklace, and Saul turns to Genevieve and whispers, "Sue?" And Genevieve's like, "What? I thought it was Kyle."
Oh my God, this is insane.
And then while Genevieve is talking about something I didn't even write in my notes because it didn't matter, Teeny whispers to Sam, which is on the other end of everybody there on the at tribal council, "Who are you voting for?"
Yeah.
He says Sue. Teeny seems unsure. He seems now weirded out. Like it was nuts what was going on here, unless everybody was acting.
No, they all seem genuinely confused.
Right. So then Andy and Sam and Rachel start whispering about the Sue or Kyle thing. And then Teeny whispers to Gabe about the Saul vote. Gabe is shocked because he's like, "Who told you that?" And he's hearing maybe this Saul plan for the first time. It's just an absolute batshit crazy live tribal council.
Yeah.
People then eventually get up and start whispering and all that. Was it quite a stark difference, though, between the Lavo and Gata people?
Sure.
Like panicking and then sort of stoic Tuku.
Yeah.
For the most part, obviously taking in whispers and trying to get answers, but like they sort of stayed more in their seats, I thought.
In the moment while I was watching this go down, I was like, oh wow, Tuku like clearly have a clear bond and they know what they're doing and they're not confused about anything. Everything else feels chaotic. I rewatched it this morning and I did have a little moment of like, is it possible that Teeny and Sam and all of them had decided they were going to vote for Saul and they just did this for the sake of optics so that Saul could maybe buy into it being confusing and then changing their vote?
And just not playing a shot in the dark.
Yeah,
and all.
Just to give them a bit of, cushion in terms of Saul's reaction. And obviously Sierra's watching this as well. She's sitting there. We didn't say it, but she's she comes out. We see Sierra in the jury seat watching this all go down.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just was so chaotic.
Yeah, and for it then to come out in the vote, 8 votes on Saul.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's the very odd part, right?
I'm sure they'll explain.
Like to the point where Teeny votes for Saul, Sam votes for Saul. So
that and her being in
either
tears.
this was a bit of a facade or they were really good at convincing them there at tribal council, hey, let's just go this way.
Mm-hmm.
JD, you got to read on that?
I mean, it seemed genuinely like paranoia and confusion at tribal council.
I
and it
agree.
seemed to be kicked off by Saul himself, right? Because that's...
At least in the edit when he turns to Genevieve.
Like,
and yeah.
They caused confusion. Teeny saw that and then everything, falls apart basically. And then it's like, wait, Kyle? No, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I mean, if it's incredible acting work if this was all a plan, a ruse to trick Saul into not playing his shot in the dark. I mean, Emmys for everybody.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Like,
I don't know. Or it's one of those things where there's been so many plans, but in the end they just go back to the original plan.
yeah.
Yeah, I just think
Which is what it was.
the votes being what they were, to me, suggests that they already knew they were going to vote for Saul.
Wow.
The people that were, ostensibly aligned with Saul previous to going to tribal had all decided they were going to do that anyway. You would have seen some Sues and some Kyles otherwise, don't you think?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just on the second watch, I was like, oh, I think they knew what they were doing.
Interesting.
Well,
Maybe I'm crazy, but...
I forget. Who knows about Sue's idol? Does everybody, or is it just literally Caroline? Because...
Maybe Caroline for sure.
Does Gabe? I guess.
Gabe maybe. I
guess what I'm
Kyle
asking
knows.
is, does anybody from non-Tuku know about Sue's idol?
I don't know.
I doubt it.
I doubt it, because otherwise, why don't you flush that?
Right.
You would flush it.
Yeah.
You would get the panic going enough that she would be like, whoa, my name is being said a lot here.
Yeah.
So they must not. They must not
Yeah, I
know
don't
that.
think so.
And I don't think they do. So anyway, Saul voted out.
Bummer. Big
8
bummer.
Big
votes.
bummer.
Tearful Teeny.
That's what I mean. So emotional.
Says she loves him.
Love you, Saul.
He says, "Go get him."
Aw.
And then there's a great shot. Genevieve whispers, sort of to herself, "Holy shit, that actually worked."
Yeah.
Sort of baller. She even shocked herself.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we just got Saul out.
Yeah, my plan all along.
Yeah. The only other moment I have in my notes here from Tribal Council, I just said, I said to you at the time, I said, I noticed that. I'm going to maybe think that's something more than it is. Sierra being very happy that Caroline had no vote.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Gabe in the edit noticing such.
Yes.
That's all. Like, that could be all trickery.
Oh, I didn't
Could be
notice
all
that.
trickery with the edit.
Acknowledging.
Yeah, it could be.
But it was definitely Sierra happy that Caroline had no vote, and then immediately, the classic like Gabe turning the
Clocked
head
it.
as if he's looking at Sierra.
Right.
Yeah.
Sierra was big mad up there.
Yeah.
She was given some looks.
I love
that
a
could go.
scorned jury, man.
Yeah, she looked cute though.
She did.
She had a shower. She looked so fresh.
They
clean.
brought her in too. I feel like that's something that went
They
away.
didn't
there.
used to do that.
No, yeah, it went away.
Right?
It's
Because
been
they
a
didn't
long
have time.
Long time.
90 minutes. You get burps and walk-ins.
Yeah. So that's right. That's right. So Saul gone. I know you were bummed. That was your pick last week.
I'm so annoyed.
Kiss of death from you.
I know. Was it me? I'm sorry, Saul.
Oh
All
man.
right, now it's time to pick another winner.
Yeah.
I'm all in on Rachel now.
Oh, jumping on
Okay.
Team Rachel with
All
me.
right.
All right, I love it.
Oh, did you choose Rachel too?
Yeah, Rachel was my
I
pick.
can't keep track.
In episode 1.
God.
That's at least who I'm cheering for.
Good for you.
She set up nice. All right, fun episode. Let's get into Tree Mail. Still talk about it some more. Okay, Dougie G. Have you all noticed that every time someone mentions a name to Andy, his response is, "I was thinking that too." Is he trying to steal part of the credit, or is he just trying to fit in? Or you could add, Doug, maybe Andy's being truthful, and he was thinking about that too.
Wow. I did not
Because if
think
you're
of
being
that.
completely honest, if you're out there on that island and you're playing this game of Survivor,
Yeah.
and you're lying there at night, aren't you thinking about a way to vote out
Sure.
everybody except
Yep.
yourself?
100%.
So
I think somebody coming to you with a plan and you saying, "Oh yeah, I've been thinking that too," is totally fine.
Oh, yeah.
That's a totally acceptable way to react to someone coming to you with an idea. However, if you are not also bringing your ideas to the table to other people, then it does feel like you have none
yeah,
in the way
you
this
start
is
to
presented.
be, pegged as a floater.
Yes.
A goat.
Yes.
Someone you'll want at the end.
Right.
Because you don't think they'll win.
And
Yes,
he,
yeah.
as we said earlier in the show, describing himself as a certified flipper, I feel like he thinks that's the same as flipping the script because he's using those two terms throughout his exposition earlier on in the show, but they're very different things to me. To me, certified flipper is you have no scruples and you'll just kind of move with whoever is in charge
Sure.
that you see fit.
Sure.
Flipping the script
Tough
is
way to win the game, but can be done.
Yes.
But very difficult.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flipping the script is I have a plan that I'm communicating to you per se. You think that's the plan. I change all of it and you don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Different vibes.
Different vibes.
And I think he's in his mind, he thinks he's flipping the script, but he's really just bopping around and floating into wherever he can.
Yeah. They see him as just a pawn.
Yeah.
He sees himself probably more as a queen or a king.
Yeah, his
an
social-
important piece on the board.
His social
But they
capital
don't seem to think about that.
is his vote.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. But he doesn't think that.
No, of course not.
Yeah,
He thinks he's
yeah.
great.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You agree, JD, it sounds like?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think he's conflating a flipper with a blind side. You know what I mean? Like he's
Yeah.
gonna put that on his resume that, oh, I flipped on my own tribe. I got Sierra out, but he just, as he said at the beginning of the episode, I leaned into my role at the bottom. I'm like, yeah, you're at the bottom. Like you have no choice really. You're,
Yeah.
you did. If you hadn't have flipped, Annika wouldn't have gone home, right? Sure, but I don't know. It's not the same as Sam coming up with the idea to get rid of Annika. It's you're just choosing to go. Like if I'm voting for somebody to win $1 million at the end of the day, it's going to be Sam over Andy for that particular move, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Going back to that whole Sam coming up with the counter plan to go after Sue, one thing Saul has said in his exit interviews, and that he sort of regrets, it sounds like, is Sam pitches the idea. Okay, we gotta get these people to vote, and we probably have the numbers. So let's go. They start to scatter. Obviously, it was getting dark quick. Saul's like, I knew about Sam's fake immunity idol.
Right.
And maybe we should have used that.
To our advantage.
To our advantage.
Oh, he knew it was fake.
I guess so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, unclear if he knew that after watching Survivor or out there on the island, but the idea is like, I should have used it.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have held it up and said,
exactly.
Hey, guys,
like, hey, I've got it. I'm not
tonight.
going home. So,
Yeah.
I mean, damn.
If he had that and pulled it out when Teeny and Saul and Genevieve were talking about how, I'm going to, I have this.
That changes things.
That could have changed things.
Yeah. So
I also was surprised, and again, we have the benefit of watching the whole show, but I was surprised if they were going to target Sue that they didn't approach Kyle. Because there does seem to be some friction between Sue, Caroline, and Kyle in particular.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Kyle would have been open to voting with them.
I think they're just worried Kyle's too close to Gabe, though.
Sure.
Right. And they didn't want to.
But then at that point, Saul has nothing to lose, and he seemed to have had some friendly moments with Kyle.
That's true.
Kyle loves his smile, and what seemed like a big fan of Saul.
He was pretty impressed with him axing open on that
Yeah.
coconut too. The other thing I thought of when we were talking about Andy here, I was thinking that too, and how he says that to people. I glossed over it. I should have said it. I guess it was Kyle, Gabe, and Genevieve talking.
Oh yeah, that moment.
And you talk about taking credit for a plan. Gabe literally goes to Kyle. This was all her plan. He was really impressed, but almost hey Kyle, man, this isn't me at all. This is all her.
Yeah.
They kept that. I wonder, is that now when we come back in the next couple episodes, is there going to be more of a hey, Genevieve is badass player at this game?
Yeah, has Genevieve revealed herself to Gabe in a way that is going to...
Is Gabe going to go back on night 16
Yeah.
when we pick up and go to a couple, at least Tuku or other people, she just pulled off an 8-1 vote on Saul.
Yeah. Another reason why I was
maybe.
surprised she did this, because it draws a lot of attention back to her.
Yes.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that the chaos would have been a bit of a smokescreen and she would have a little less blood on her hands with Saul going off to the jury, still with the potential to vote for her at the end. She's a treacherous player or whatever. It was just but yeah, she told way too many people about the plan to get Saul out. So this is going to blow back on her, I would imagine.
Yeah. All right, next one here from Zachary. In every season of the new era, we have had a 0-vote finalist. Who do you think are the two most likely to be that on this season? Zachary would go with Andy and Caroline. Andy feels like he is too much of a floater, and Caroline is just following Sue and Gabe's lead. If you had to pick, maybe just pick one even, who do you think would be the most likely get there to the end, maybe get dragged there to the end for good reason, and get no votes from the jury?
Well, I feel like I've poo-pooed Andy enough, so we'll set him aside. Okay. I would argue Sue is somebody that would end up with 0 votes. Yes, she has performed well in some of the challenges. She's had immunity, but she has this kind of baffled vibe all the time. I don't know if you feel this with her. She looks kind of like she doesn't know what's going on. And when people present her with a plan, she doesn't really say anything other than, okay, well, let's do that. And she clearly looks to Gabe for guidance.
Yeah.
When Genevieve was pitching her this concept around soul, she was like, okay, yeah, I guess so. I need to talk to Gabe. I don't feel like Sue has autonomy and her own plan, which is not great for your resume in Survivor.
I agree 100%. It depends, of course, a little bit on who she would be sitting with at the end. But to me, if Gabe's on the jury and Sue's there, I think there's going to be a lot of that was all Gabe.
Yeah.
It'll be weird it'll be interesting to see how Gabe will play it. Will Gabe say, no, there was a lot more back and forth? Or will Gabe, my gut says Gabe would be more yeah, I sort of dragged you along. You were my little bird, even though you're there and I'm not, right?
Yeah.
Or if Sue is sitting beside Gabe, that's really not great. I'm with you. I think she could be a 0-vote finalist.
Yeah,
but then again, she has an idol, and if she makes a huge play with it on her own, that'll warrant some jury votes.
To be seen. As of this episode, I don't see her to date doing that much.
I'm 100% with you. I think that she seems oblivious. I mean, she was sitting there at tribal council. Her name was, whispered about 15 or 16 times in her vicinity, and it didn't even seem to cross her mind to play her idol. You know what I mean?
Was right.
She very, very, yes, she was right, but she came very close to being blindsided, which would have been awesome. because blindsides are great.
Right.
But yeah, when she's revealed herself to Genevieve, like, let me check with the boss. She does that a lot.
There's a lot of that.
And she's also super emotional. I mean, she hates Kyle for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. She might kill him.
She's going to kill him.
Has
she
a
wants
knife.
to kill him.
She says it twice.
Holding the machete.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm with you. I think Caroline is a good call. Andy, obviously.
Yeah.
Teeny as well.
Ooh, well, hold that thought.
Oh, sorry.
Because that pairs nicely with this question from Segasaurus Flex. Is working with Teeny the kiss of death? Her alliances were Keyshawn, Tiana, Sierra, and Saul. Does Teeny have the least agency in this game? And that goes with maybe a possibility of a 0-vote finals. I see it. I see the reasoning.
It feels like it. I mean, I like Teeny a lot, and that's maybe why she could get some votes because she's
likable.
Very, very likable.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man.
Yeah.
She just seems to be like blown away by every vote. She takes everything very personally, and she gets upset. I mean, yes, it's her alliances that keep getting voted out.
Yeah.
But it just says she has no real agency, as they say, in the game at all. So
Yeah.
I mean, I like Teeny a lot.
I'm having a hard time also seeing Teeny's future. She's lost all of basically Lavo. Genevieve wants nothing to do with her. I'm trying to figure out with the people who are left, how is Teeny going to pivot? Does she connect with Sam and they try to cook something up? Andy is still out there in the mix.
She's had a lot of conversations prior with Rachel when there was talk of women's alliances and stuff like that. I know. Yeah, it's not looking good.
It is very hard to picture Teeny exacting revenge for this, which her final closest ally just got voted out of the game. And she was blindsided by her own alliance, right? But it's still, I can't picture it. I mean, maybe I'm obviously I'm underestimating her, but I don't know. It's just very, very hard to imagine.
Well, before we went live, I saw Gabe write in our chat here on YouTube how Teeny is maybe becoming Charlie Brown.
Oh, God,
The quote from Gabe was, feel like their story is becoming similar to Owen and Jake. And if you remember Owen and Jake, both finalists, both 0-vote finalists. Season 43, Gabler, Cassidy, Owen. That's 7-1-0. That was really, Owen was big time Charlie Brown. Our guy Owen. We love Owen. And then Survivor 45, that's D, Austin, and Jakey Boy. And that was a 5-3-0 vote, and that was, Jakey left always on the wrong side. Yeah, it's the path right now. Teeny's got to change it, but there's similarities to how it went for Owen and Jake, I think.
I mean, Teeny is smart, so at least she has that going for her. And I think she's got a strong social game, and she reads people fairly well. So I could see Teeny sticking around for a little bit, not making it necessarily to the final, but making it through a few more votes.
That will be the worry, that people will want to get rid of her as it gets down and down and down because she's so likable.
Yes.
And they're going to okay, she's tight with Sierra. Okay, she's tight with Saul.
The jury would.
Who else goes next?
Maybe lean towards her.
Yeah.
She has no blood on her hands. So
far.
She has that going for her.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Saul technically, since she voted for Saul.
But it was I'm boxed into a corner.
Of course.
Anything.
And he seemed totally okay.
Yeah.
Get him.
Not an angry boy.
No. Final one from Nayesh. Gabe hitting the Ray Lewis celebration got me thinking, what would you hit if you won immunity? Curry's signature night-night, maybe a little Dame time, pointing at the watch. Those are two that come to mind right away. Are you hopping up on the sit-out bench and hitting the Wade celebration? That was the statue that he got.
That horrible statue.
He jumps up. This is my house.
Hey,
this is my island.
That's pretty good from the neck down.
Yeah, it's true.
Just the face. The face is messed up.
So, would you do any sort of celebrating, or what would you do?
So I can't say I would necessarily want to do this, but the first thing that came to mind, because I'm a Formula One fan, Australian driver Daniel Ricciardo, who's no longer driving, but his signature move is a shoey. Yeah. So when he's up on the podium and they have the champagne flowing, he takes his shoe off, pours the champagne into his shoe, and drinks from it.
A real Australian thing.
Yeah. So gross, though, to do on the island, because that shoe is real gross.
Yeah. Also, no champagne. You're getting...
Well, this is my thing. Is this a way to angle to get something that's not water to drink? Could you be like, Jeff, I really want to do a shoey. You got any more of that soda back there?
Yeah.
Do you got something I can put in here and have a little
Okay.
And then worst case scenario, they have water there.
Yeah, just do it with water.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really disgusting.
Maybe you could get Jeff to do it with you. Jeff, do a shoey with me.
There's no way Probst would
He
do
might.
a shoey. Wow. Would Jeff
do a shoey?
Would he give his shoe for the shoey? Like, hey, Jeff,
Oh,
He might.
Jeff,
He
let me
might.
hold those Skechers.
He would love to be involved.
or whatever he wears. What is
Yeah.
he? Is he? He's got a brand.
they're right there. I think they're Adidas.
Oh, he does have Adidas.
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what came to mind.
Okay. What do you got, JD? Any celebrations?
I do the 3. I do the ice on my veins, and the big old dong.
Oh, the Giannis
The
dog.
Giannis, it was invented last night. I loved it. So, the Giannis big dong.
Okay, if we went as a pair, then I'll do the big balls Sam Cassell dance. You do the Giannis
Yeah.
dog.
Okay. Sounds good.
We'll be the dickheads. All right, great questions. Always keep them coming. Try and get that tweet up either the night Survivor airs or at the very latest earlier the next morning. Make your picks. Got some news, guys. They have updated the expiration dates for advantages in the pool, and there is a reason why. Advantages will expire at the start of the penultimate episode. We think there are 5 more episodes left, so you have 4 more weeks to play advantages. It's all but confirmed. We're getting 14 episodes of this Survivor season. Usually it's 13. We haven't had 14 since Winners at War, but we're getting a 14th.
Great.
Yep.
No, I
More
am
is
happy
more.
about it, but it does conflict with some scheduling.
Not great
stuff
for
that
us
we're
here in the
doing.
No Dunks universe, but
Yeah.
we'll make it work. I guess I'm intrigued by them splitting what would usually be a super, super long final episode into more manageable, maybe 2-hour episodes for the penultimate episode and the final episode.
Yeah.
So that might work better.
It makes it more manageable because the 3-hour is daunting.
It's daunting, yeah.
Especially for us because we got basketball and, it's just a late night and I have to watch it live.
Yeah, me
and
too.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
So
It might work
and I love
better.
the-
And like sometimes in those super long final episodes, like the people that go early in the episode, they're sort of like, are forgotten quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Because you got so much more to do. So maybe this works out. But anyway, that's why we're changing this in Make Your Picks. You will not be able to play advantages in the season finale. So know that. You got a couple weeks, but basically you're getting 1 more bonus week to play some of these advantages. Scoring notes for episode 9. Teeny and Saul and Gabe and Kyle received credit for winning team reward because they competed as a team.
Right.
Of course, Gabe received credit for individual immunity. I have Gabe on my team. That was good for my points.
You chose Gabe on your team?
He's on my team.
How dare
Good
you.
game. I'm a big Baltimore Ravens fan.
What's wrong with Gabe?
Nothing. I'm just joking.
And we did not give, this is Make Your Pick saying this, we did not give any points to Sam, Andy, or Rachel for winning the reverse Jenga game.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Because they didn't earn an advantage.
Yeah.
Sure.
They just got their,
Vote
they
back.
avoided losing their vote. Yeah, they got their vote back. So that's the scoring there. Did anybody have Saul going home?
I put him in.
Oh, yeah, because you knew all the spoilers.
I heard the rumors. I was like, I gotta just back up. Maybe.
Wow.
I didn't want it to
Oh,
be.
my God.
I thought Kyle was toast.
Okay.
I chose Kyle and Saul.
I forget who I went with, but I didn't have Saul. JD,
I
did you have
had
Saul?
Sam, I had Gabe. I doubled my points on Sam.
Oh.
And I had Sue. So I was getting
Whoa.
very excited there when Sue's name was
Yeah,
banned.
wow.
But
She's still there.
Somehow.
there.
Well, she's gonna kill Kyle next week.
Yeah.
Put Kyle in, I guess. What happens when somebody dies out on the
I don't know.
you know what is going to happen? He's going to win immunity. That's why she's like, I'm going to kill him.
Yeah,
He's
maybe.
too good at this game.
Maybe.
Why is she transatlantic?
Well, she's a little old. I don't know if you
Old-timey lady?
noticed. Yeah.
She can fly everywhere. Next time on Survivor, it's titled Loyal to the Soil.
What a weird thing to say. Is that a phrase?
I've never heard that
Never
phrase.
heard it. You figured it out, I think.
So, loyal till death.
Yeah.
Right? Until
Loyal
I'm dead and
till
I'm in
I'm
the ground and
under
I'm
the
soil.
soil.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
But I have never heard it.
It's a visceral description.
Yeah. Loyal to the soil.
Sounds like an Andy.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe.
Well, it's funny you say that. In the next time on Survivor package, there is more of this Andy edit of him being like this sneaky, strategic player. He calls himself the smiling assassin.
He's got to stop.
Look, the edit is leaning into Andy. I'm telling you that.
I know.
And then Sam talks about how he's going to get revenge.
Yeah?
And then Sue wants to kill Kyle.
Yeah.
And she says it twice.
There's a supercut of her saying, I hate that guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill him. And then she's hacking with the machete while she's doing it. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's a scary edit.
Okay, so who's going home next week?
Well, I mean, they want us to think Kyle is being targeted, so it's not Kyle.
No.
It's my gut.
It's definitely not Kyle.
But I'm curious as to what this sudden flip is. Or not flip, but like this intensity around Kyle from Sue. We know she doesn't like him. We don't entirely know why, other than he voted for her.
He did vote for her a long,
But is
long
that
time
it?
ago.
It's been weeks now.
Yeah.
That was the impetus for the hatred.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just rubs her the wrong way. It's weird for us as viewers because he's being presented as just this down home
Affable
nice
dude.
guy.
Yeah, totally.
Very affable.
I will say
So-
Rome in the press has also hinted that Kyle had said something to him that didn't make it on air.
Yes.
But he had communicated whatever that thing was that was not good to Sue, I believe. So Sue knows this thing that Rome refuses to say what it is, other than it's bad.
Huh.
He's being super vague, which I hate when people do that. When like, I won't tell you what it is, but it's really bad. So it could be totally innocuous and a nothing burger, but because it's Rome. But perhaps we'll get something explained.
Maybe.
I wouldn't
I wouldn't count on it either.
Maybe. Maybe.
We will see what's going to happen next week. Make sure you get your votes in the Make Your Buffs, Make Your Picks.
Make your buffs.
No Buffs Survivor Fantasy Pool. I am so tired of talking. I just want to stop talking. So perfect time to end the episode. Thanks to everybody for joining us live right now on YouTube. Hit the like button, subscribe, podcast listeners, 5-star ratings and reviews. I think we'll have the whole band back together next week.
Exciting.
No, we won't. No, we won't. You won't be here.
Yeah.
Or TBD?
TBD, I think.
Feel it out.
I'm probably not going to be here.
Oh my God.
Aw.
Wow.
We'll miss you.
We will come together for the finale, I guess, at this point. Still lots of episodes left. So yeah, we'll see. You'll find out who's here next week when you come back on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern live. All right. Good stuff?
Yeah.
Till next week, the tribe has spoken.
Bye.